Somehow, the conversation has completely shifted. We've gone away from examining the case and the evidence that's been presented to us to focusing on Candace Owens' mental health. And I think we're all forgetting or missing the big picture here. And that's the fact that we still don't know what happened to Charlie. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Unleavened Truth. I'm your boy JR, your host, doing the most as always. I hope this video and future videos bring you value. If they do, please don't forget, hit that like and subscribe, as I'm new to the YouTube game and I'm trying to go full time. It's been a minute since my last video. A couple months ago, I tore my patellar tendon, had knee surgery shortly after. Been about 6 weeks now, feeling a lot better. Thank you to everybody who has reached out with prayer and support. I was definitely going through it for a minute. But as frustrating as it was, I do think things like this are blessings in disguise. God allows us to go through certain battles, and those battles teach us lessons. And I think for me, it was an opportunity to just kind of step back and reflect and honestly just kind of be grateful. Even small things like walking again, I'm very grateful for. So blessing in disguise, but I'm ready to get back after it. Now, if you didn't catch my last video, we've been diving a little bit into the death of Charlie Kirk. Here at Unleavened Truth, we believe that it's important that we worship the Father, Yahuwah, and his Son, Yahusha, both in spirit and in truth. And obviously, that truth starts and ends with the scriptures. But the scriptures do more than just reveal about God's character. They do a lot to help us discern and recognize patterns in the real world. And this situation is no different. I think it's important sometimes, especially in the early hours after something tragic like Charlie Kirk's assassination. There's just so much information coming out, so many conflicting reports, conflicting stories, conflicting testimonies. And I think it's just a good idea sometimes to just take a step back, allow that information to kind of weed itself out, and then we can go in with fresh ears, fresh minds, and really start to examine some of that info. Just in the last month alone, we've had a ton of new information come out, and it can create a little bit of chaos and confusion. And I think in some ways, the powers that be, they kind of feast off of that confusion and chaos, because a lot of these things could easily be cleared up. And we're going to dive into some of that today. But I've seen a lot of comments from other people on different platforms, whether it be Candace Owens, Didi Got a Podcast, Trigger Smart, Range Day Bro. A lot of these comments that are like belittling the content creators or trying to assassinate these people's character. Somehow, the conversation has completely shifted. We've gone away from examining the case and the evidence that's been presented to us from official sources to focusing on Candace Owens' mental health or Egyptian planes or TPUSA and how they are the most cringe company of all time. And I think we're all forgetting or missing the big picture here. And that's the fact that we still don't know what happened to Charlie. So I think it's important that we take a step back and research, meaning research the things that were previously searched for us, and really get back to the root of how all of this began in the first place. And what better place to start than the official story?
Authorities have identified 22-year-old Tyler Robinson as a suspect who allegedly killed Kirk. Here is a timeline of how the shooting unfolded and how Robinson was arrested. According to Utah Governor Spencer Cox, suspect Tyler Robinson arrived at UVU's campus at 8:29 a.m. local time on the day of the shooting, driving a gray Dodge Challenger. Bo Mason, the commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety, said authorities tracked the suspect's movements onto the campus.
Through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location.
At 12:23 p.m., Kirk is hit with a single shot to the neck, appearing to come from an elevated position on a nearby rooftop. Video shows Kirk being carried by 6 men to an SUV, which transports him to Timpanogos Regional Hospital. According to authorities, immediately following the shooting, the subject moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled campus into a nearby neighborhood. At 4 p.m., Utah Governor Spencer Cox clarifies during a press conference that there is a person of interest in custody who is being questioned.
To whoever did this, we will find you.
At 4:21 p.m., FBI Director Kash Patel writes in a post on X that the subject, quote, for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk, is in custody. Authorities later say the person of interest was not the shooting suspect and was released after questioning. At 7 a.m. on Thursday, September 11th, FBI Special Agent in Charge, Robert Bowles, announces during a press conference that authorities have recovered what is believed to be the weapon used in the shooting, a high-powered bolt-action rifle. At 9:56 a.m., authorities released images of the suspected shooter, asking for the public's help in identifying them. The FBI writes in a post on X that it is offering a reward of up to $100,000 for information leading to the identification and the arrest of the individual responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. At 6 a.m. Mountain Time on Friday, September 12th, President Donald Trump announced on Fox and Friends in New York that a person is in custody.
As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted.
At 8 a.m., Utah Governor Spencer Cox said at a press conference that Tyler Robinson, a Utah native, was identified as the person who shot and killed Kirk.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
He was taken into custody in St. George, Utah, on Friday. Cox said that after Robinson's father recognized his son in the distributed photographs, he told Robinson to turn himself in. Robinson initially said no, but later changed his mind, officials said. The father then called a youth pastor, who is also a U.S. Marshals Task Force officer. The officer advised the father to have Robinson stay in place. This information was then conveyed to the FBI.
I'm grateful that at this moment we have an opportunity to bring closure to this very dark chapter in our nation's history.
So, the official story from the FBI, Utah state officials, mainstream media, is that Charlie Kirk was shot. Okay? We've all seen the videos on all social media. If you were able to avoid the video, kudos to you. I was not able to do that. It's very traumatic for me. But regardless, I think we all can start on the basis that Charlie Kirk was shot. Now, I want you guys to keep this in mind because I'm going to repeat this a lot. It's going to be annoying. You've been warned. In order for there to be an inside job, which myself and others are leaning towards at this point, in order for there to be an inside job, you have to have inside players. Okay? I'm going to say it again. In order for there to be an inside job, you have to have inside players. Okay? Remember that. Now, immediately after Charlie's death, I was hanging out with my girl, sitting on the couch, kind of just reflecting, talking about it. And I told her straight up, they better not come to us with that tired, old story of this lone gunman who was weird and different, who everyone who knew him never saw coming, never could see that this person did such a thing, suddenly snaps and, shoots somebody or shoots up a school or whatever the case may be. The same common narrative we hear each and every time with one of these mass shooting or public shooting cases, right? And lo and behold, in 33 hours, we had a lone gunman who was weird or different, who everybody who knew him could never imagine this person could do such a thing, suddenly snaps and shoots Charlie Kirk and draws hateful messages on the bullets. Okay? And immediately I'm like, nah, bruh, something's off. Now just stick with me here just long enough for us to replay some of the events following Charlie's death. And I think you will come to the same conclusion that me and others have come to, which is, in my opinion, the FBI, Utah state officials, TPUSA, maybe even Erica Kirk herself. Someone's lying. Let's just start with the actual arrest. Here's Governor Spencer Cox from Utah giving us the play-by-play of how it went down.
On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI.
So, according to Governor Cox, Tyler Robinson was recognized by his father. His father reached out to a family friend, and they helped facilitate Tyler Robinson turning himself in at the sheriff's office. Now, CBS reported that exact same day that the family friend was Tyler's youth pastor, and he was a current court security officer. Now, this court security officer, according to CBS, who was told this information from federal officials, this court officer reached out to the U.S. Marshal's office. The U.S. Marshal's office detained Tyler and then later handed him to FBI custody. That story lasted about 5 days. Okay, not even a week later, Washington County Sheriff Nate Booksby had this to say about Tyler Robinson's arrest.
And at 8:02, p.m., he calls me. Hey, I can tell his voice is kind of shaky. So my first thought is, who died? Like, who's he going to tell me that died? And then I couldn't fathom what actually came out of his mouth. So he said, hey, I know who Charlie Kirk shooter is. I know the family through religious association, and he's in Washington County now, and we're working on trying to get him to come in voluntarily. During that phone call, some information was provided about Tyler potentially having some suicidal ideations, was en route to a remote area of Washington County. The parents convinced him not to do that, and conveyed that they would stand by him and help him surrender peacefully. Within the hour, my friend drove Tyler and his parents to my office, where he was greeted by plainclothes detectives. So that was part of the deal. Is Tyler knew it was just inevitable with all the law enforcement pressure that his picture in the news, the gun on the news. He knew it was inevitable that he would be caught. He was fearful of a SWAT team hit on his house, or he was fearful of being shot by law enforcement. So part of the negotiation and getting him to bring himself in was that we would treat it as delicate and as soft as possible to make him feel comfortable to where he would show up at my office, and that's exactly what happened.
Now, there's no confirmation as to who this ex-cop is. Candace Owens speculated that it might be ex-detective Mike Mitchell, who apparently was a retired cop, worked under Sheriff Booksby, or worked in Washington County for 20 years, and retired. No confirmation of that. Regardless, this ex-cop, whoever they are, drove Tyler with his family to the sheriff's office directly, according to Sheriff Booksby. Now, that's an obvious conflict with the report from CBS, because CBS said that whoever this family friend was reached out to the U.S. Marshal Service. The U.S. Marshals detained Tyler and then handed him to FBI custody directly. So let's just give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Let's assume that this person that CBS is referring to, who's a current court security officer, is also the family friend of Tyler Robinson, who, according to Sheriff Booksby, is an ex-cop in that area. Let's just assume they're the same person, right? We still got a problem. For one, the sheriff said in his press conference that Tyler Robinson was suicidal. He even went as far to say that Tyler was en route to a remote location before his family convinced him basically not to unalive himself and instead turn himself in. In that same press conference, the sheriff said that Tyler Robinson was afraid of being shot by police during an arrest, and therefore he negotiated with Tyler and his family to have him arrested peacefully. They brought him into the sheriff's office. He was detained by plainclothes officers, and that was that. But we have the conflicting report of how Tyler Robinson was apprehended, according to CBS, who says U.S. Marshals detained him, handed him straight to the FBI. So how are you handed straight to the FBI and arrested at the local sheriff's office at the same time? Both of these things can't be true. Well, we now know that the ex-cop did, in fact, turn Tyler Robinson in to the sheriff's office directly. The reason we know that is because a few days ago, the pretrial hearing transcript was released. And in this transcript, you don't have to read it. I actually watched a video about it, but I did read the portion that I'm talking about here, where the prosecution and the defense are basically trying to negotiate how the trial is going to go. Like, what clothes is Tyler allowed to wear? Different things of that nature. One of the things that the defense is arguing is that Tyler Robinson shouldn't have to be shackled during the court proceedings. Why are they saying this? Because their argument is he proved he's not a danger to other people because he turned himself in peacefully. And in these court documents, they address the fact that the ex-cop turned Tyler Robinson in with his family. So they're using this as evidence that he's not a danger to himself or to other people. So that begs the question, who were these federal sources that told CBS that Tyler was apprehended by U.S. Marshals and brought straight to FBI custody? Because whoever those sources were provided misleading information to a major mainstream media outlet. And that's a problem. Does this prove anything? No. But our job is not to replace the official story with our own alternative theory. We're just trying to figure out if the information given to us is actually accurate. Did they arrest the right person, right? Justice for Charlie should be all that matters. And our investigation is independent of replacement, okay? If we're the defense team and we can prove Tyler Robinson's not guilty, the judge isn't going to say, well, he can't go free until you provide me who the actual suspect is. That's not how that works. Our job is to examine the evidence and see if it's accurate. And we can see within the first week, right, we have conflicting reports from major mainstream news outlets and from the people involved themselves. And again, I remind you, the person who arrested Tyler is an ex-cop who might also be a current court security officer, government employee. He handed him over either to the U.S. Marshals, government, who then handed him over to the FBI, government, or he drove Tyler to the sheriff's office where he was arrested directly by plainclothes officers, the government. Inside players for inside jobs, right? Now, all of this, in my opinion, could be avoided if they just gave us the arrest footage, right? Like, we don't have to debate when he was arrested, how he was arrested. Just show us. We've been given footage of Tyler on the rooftop, a stairwell photo of Tyler on campus, 2 separate instances of him walking through a neighborhood. But to this day, we have no footage of the arrest. Well, CBS Investigates in Utah actually had the exact same thought I had. Where is the arrest footage? Guess what they found out?
On September 17th, 2025, Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby held a press conference.
Our job was not to interview. Our job was just to get him here.
After Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter was taken into custody in Washington County less than 2 days after the shooting.
Within the hour, my friend drove Tyler and his parents to my office, where he was greeted by plainclothes detectives.
After learning of this, I submitted a public records request to obtain any video of Tyler Robinson walking into the jail facility. Washington County responded, saying there were no records responsive to the request, as Robinson did not go to the jail area. Our request for any holding room video was denied. A few weeks later, I re-upped the request on a more generalized scale for surveillance video showing Tyler Robinson walking into the sheriff's office.
For the state of Utah, we would certainly hope that this video is available.
The response? Our office does not have any applicable records responsive to this request, as the surveillance footage is no longer available after the 30-day retention period.
If, in fact, it has been destroyed and not preserved, it's very concerning. And if it has, then it's very concerning that they're telling you they don't have it. If they no longer have it, I would have expected to say that this video has been provided to the Utah County law enforcement. Please contact them. But instead, this letter leads, in my opinion, as trying to shut the door and not give you free access to the press.
While it's not clear if the video exists and was just handed over to another agency, in a response to me, Washington County shared with me they don't believe the video was shared with anyone involved in the case.
Wanting to get videos showing that he turned himself in and the manner he did so would be crucial for the defense work of mitigation.
Now, not showing us the footage, sus, weird, but understandable, right? Again, I'll give the benefit of the doubt. You know, the case is pending. There might be some identities of some of the cops involved that the public or the FBI doesn't want the public to be aware of. Whatever, that's fine. Not having the footage not existing, red flag, right? We have R. Kelly being arrested, Michael Jackson being arrested, O.J. Simpson being arrested, Diddy being arrested. We have footage of Lee Harvey Oswald, the known patsy for the JFK assassination. We have footage of him being arrested and footage of him being murdered from the 60s. And yet, the most high-profile assassination since JFK, and you have nothing? Nah, bro. And now you've got the sheriff's office, who, in my opinion, is at least guilty of negligence. Like, who in that building didn't think it'd be a good idea to preserve the footage of the most high-profile assassin being arrested. But again, inside jobs require inside players. So, what do we make of the footage that we actually do have of Tyler?
Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images.
So, we have footage of Tyler pulling up to campus. He's in his gray Charger, gets out, and he's walking to campus. And Governor Cox is very specific about the clothing he has on. Keep that in mind. We also have this photo, which supposedly is taken from video, of Tyler Robinson in the stairwell. I assume one of the stairwells leading up to the roof, okay, on UVU's campus shortly before unaliving Charlie, right? Then we have a photo, which I also believe is taken from video, of Tyler Robinson 6 hours later at Dairy Queen, okay? Neither of these photos have timestamps, which to me is weird, first and foremost. But here's what's also weird. In the stairwell photo, Tyler Robinson is wearing a black long sleeve and blue jeans. Same hat, different color shirt, different pants. He also has on a black book bag, which I didn't notice at first, but I found it very interesting. Then we have the DQ photo, right? Him at Dairy Queen, getting a bite to eat after committing a murder. And he's wearing his original maroon t-shirt, but different pants. He's wearing blue jeans. Now remember, Governor Cox said when they arrested him, which was 2 days later, right? 33 hours. When they arrested him, he was in consistent clothing with the morning footage that we saw. Maroon t-shirt, khaki pants, blue hat. Here's what I found interesting about that. For one, if he was arrested in consistent clothing, shouldn't he be wearing the original outfit? Maroon t-shirt, khaki shorts, blue hat. Okay, maybe not have the hat on, but whatever. Consistent clothing to me means the same clothing he was wearing in the morning footage, right? But in the Dairy Queen photo, he changed his pants. So he has on the first half of the morning outfit and the second half of the afternoon outfit, okay? What I found weird, which I didn't even catch until I was prepping this video, is in the stairwell photo, Tyler Robinson clearly has a black book bag on, okay? In the morning footage, you can clearly see, because it's 8:30, I believe, 8:29 in the morning, you can clearly see his book bag is blue. So not only did he change outfits, but like half changed, he fully changed and then half changed back, but he has completely different bags on. Blue book bag in the morning, black book bag in the afternoon. But then there's the text messages, which even ChatGPT doesn't believe those text messages are real. I don't believe those text messages are real. I can't tell you the last time I used the word vehicle to describe my car in a text message to someone ever. Like, even my mom don't talk like that, and she's in her 70s. So that was just weird to me. But in the text messages that the FBI gave us, they specifically say that Tyler Robinson told his boyfriend that he changed outfits. So we have photo evidence that Tyler Robinson changed outfits and a conflicting report that he was in consistent clothing with the original outfit from when he was arrested. Again, both of these can't be true, okay? Somebody's giving misleading information somewhere. Now let's circle back to this Dairy Queen photo, because there's two things that I found very strange, okay? First off, Utah has pretty decent weather all year round. Like, even in the winter, it's like 40s and 50s, right? That Dairy Queen that Tyler Robinson was seen at is permanently closed. I'm going to say that again. Permanently closed, okay? All the other Dairy Queens in the area that I looked up, and you can just look this up on Google Maps, they're open right now. The Dairy Queen he went to wasn't just like an ice cream Dairy Queen. all right? Because we have some of those here in Illinois where you just go there for ice cream. They don't have like food. So they do close seasonally. This Dairy Queen was not the case. How do we know that? Because in the photo, Tyler Robinson has food. So this Dairy Queen was a place that also served food. Why is it permanently closed? All of the Dairy Queens in the area are still open. Why is this one that the shooter went to supposedly permanently closed? That's weird. Here's the other thing that I found weird with that photo. If you look in the back, you can see a poster of Superman for the new Superman movie. Okay? Now, Superman was released in July. Okay? This happened in September. So to me, that screams that this photo is really old, right? And it's not Tyler Robinson after the shooting, if it's Tyler Robinson at all. But here's what I found to be ironic about that poster of Superman. What's Superman's nickname? The Man of Steel. Andrew Colvett, the executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show, I believe on Twitter or X, whatever, claimed that he spoke to the surgeon who said that it was a miracle that someone else didn't get hit from that bullet that took Charlie's life. Specifically, he said that Charlie's neck was so strong that he was like the Man of Steel. And that neck strength is what stopped the bullet from coming out of his body, an exit wound, and hitting someone else behind him. Weird. So, we have the morning footage of Tyler. We have the stairwell photo of Tyler. We have the DQ photo of Tyler. None of these have timestamps associated with them. There's no official confirmation that I can find of where that information or that footage came from. And none of these pieces of footage tell the exact same story or even a consistent story about Tyler's whereabouts that day. And then there's the rooftop footage. And I found this video from a channel that I started following called Redacted, where independent journalist Ryan Mata gives a brilliant breakdown of this rooftop footage. Let's take a look.
This comes directly from the FBI's official YouTube channel, so we know it's legit. It was given to us by the FBI. And if you notice the timestamp there in the top left, when that timestamp started, when the video actually first started there, it was at 12:23.34. So it takes him roughly approximately 14 to 16 seconds to get exactly into that position, which will be 12:23.50. Now, when we started to analyze this footage, it was Blake Bednarz who just first broke this footage, and he sent me this video, and he goes, "Listen, look at man." He goes, "From this CCTV video, from where the FBI has shown us here, you could actually see the sniper's prone position." So when they first zoomed out on that footage when it very first started, you could actually see the position where Tyler would have, quote unquote, been laying on that roof. And it was Blake who sent me the footage originally. And he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "check this out in the cafeteria view." So if you switch to the cafeteria view, you can actually see the man running across the roof, right? Really slow motion. You clearly see somebody moving across that roof. Okay, now the question is, when was he running? Now there's another video I sent your team, and it's actually, you're going to start to see the crowd here. You're going to see the crowd, and the crowd's going to start to crouch down, okay? So if we put that into this slow motion feed that I sent you, and we scrub back and forth, you're going to see the crowd go up and down, up and down, up and down, right there. See how it goes? So you can see the crowd actually getting ready to sit down, and you move it back
and he's already running. And he's already running if you look at the rooftop.
Bingo, right? So then we went out to the outside footage, and I said, okay, I'm going to put this in my computer, and I'm going to press play at the 8-second mark of this random clip I had on my computer. And when you press play and you hear bang, as soon as you press play, and then I go, okay, I'm going to stop the video immediately when the crowd actually is fully set down, and it's 3 seconds, Clayton. So that tells you that from when that shot was fired, whoever was on that roof was in a full sprint within 3 seconds of Charlie Kirk being shot. That man on the roof was sprinting literally before the people that were outside could even realize that Charlie's been hit. I mean, he got shot right in front of them, and it takes them 2 or 3 seconds to go, oh crap, he's been hit. And they all start to go, all duck down at the same time. And that's how we know exactly when that person was running across the roof. So that was kind of like the first thing we kind of started to discuss when I was talking to you earlier was like...
Can I just stop you there? Because this tracks
absolutely.
With other independent reporting from Candace Owens. She tracked down the person who had filmed prior to the event saying, look, there's weird. That's a guy on the roof. That's strange. The person that they said they saw was in tactical gear with a different gun. That's what they told Candace Owens. And then the FBI says this guy was in plain clothes.
Okay, so the first thing I want to point out is where those people were in position. they were kind of parallel to the Sparks building. And I was talking to this with Stephen Gardner, and he went back to the scene, and me and him had kind of been sharing info and going back and forth. And he goes, man, you know, these people are telling that Candace that they seen this man in tactical gear from that position where they were filming is about 535 feet from that roof. So then I think, okay, half a football field, roughly a football field's what, like 900 feet. So at the 450 foot mark, they'd be a little bit farther than that. When you're in the end zone of a football field, can you look down and tell if somebody's wearing a mask or not and in tactical gear? I do think you can pretty distinctively make out a uniform and the fact that a football player has a helmet on. So if this person does have a mask on, I would say that Candace's reporting is pretty much holding up. And the most important part about that reporting is the time. So Candace got the actual timestamp. So in that video, when it starts playing, they're going, hey, we just watched this. Is he already in position? We just watched him run across the roof. She said that timestamp on that video is 12:22. So that would have been 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes tops before the shot was fired. So somehow this kid is running across the roof, lays down, gets in position, somehow controls his heartbeat, controls his breathing. I'm no expert sniper. I'm not even a gun guy, but I hear if you're 1 centimeter off with that scope, if that X is 1 centimeter off, you're missing your target. So somehow this guy is in a full sprint, runs across the roof. It's about 30 to 45 yard sprint to get into that position from where he would have jumped on the railing, lays down, gets in position, takes that shot. And the craziest part is within 3 seconds, somehow magically has that rifle in his hand and wrapped in some type of towel. So he would have had to stand up if it was quote unquote a towel and not a gun bag. He would have somehow had to get that in that gun bag and then get into a full sprint. But this brings us back to my main point is that we don't have that CCTV footage. If the FBI is the most transparent FBI in all of the Trump administration or the American history, then why would they release a video 3 seconds after the shot was fired? If you could just give us maybe 2 more minutes, you would actually show him getting onto the roof and running across the roof, getting down in position, taking that shot.
Again, awesome breakdown by Ryan Mata. He does great work. I think you guys should follow him on X because he's been crushing this case so far. But he makes some really good points. No time for Tyler to pack up the rifle and wrap it in a towel or whatever he did. It doesn't look like there's a gun in that bag that he's carrying. The bag looks like a duffel bag. So now we have a third bag in play. Like, all of these just weird inconsistencies. And for me, it's like, same thing with the arrest footage. If you have 10 seconds or 3 seconds after the fact of Tyler committing the crime, why not give us the 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes before? Why not just show us the roof for an entire hour so we can see the whole thing? Why are you only giving us the aftermath? That's weird to me. Also in the footage, you can clearly see that whoever this person is, let's just say it's Tyler, you can clearly see him take something off of his face as he's running away. Why would you do this if you don't want to be seen? Why would you take off the one thing that's covering your face, right? And if Tyler got to the roof from a stairwell, why would you not go down the stairwell after the fact? Why would you instead run across and jump off the roof? Like that roof, let's just assume it's 12 feet of a jump. Not impossible by any means, but it makes my knee hurt just looking at it. And to me, you got to be a pretty athletic dude to jump off that roof and run away unscathed. Like that's impressive to me, which goes back to the eyewitnesses or whoever said that they saw the original person that went on the roof in tactical gear. Because if that person is not Tyler Robinson and that person is trained in any capacity, well, yeah, I would expect a trained military person or just someone who's trained in general to be able to pull off that maneuver of jumping off the roof. So it feels to me like whoever was on that roof wanted to be seen. And again, that causes chaos, confusion, because now we think maybe there's multiple people involved. Maybe it wasn't just Tyler. Maybe the person on the roof is just a decoy. Somebody to divert our attention away from what we actually should be looking at. Either way, it's just weird. And it's not crazy for people like me and others to use our common sense and point out the fact that it's weird. And then we had the footage of Tyler Robinson limping through the neighborhood. Now, this footage came from a guy named Phil Lyman, who is a U.S. state representative, ran for governor in 2024 and lost to Spencer Cox. So again, government ties, inside job, inside players, okay? According to Phil Lyman, this footage is from his aunt's security camera. And apparently Tyler just happened to run right across the frame of Phil Lyman's aunt. Like, okay, bro, whatever. Now, I found out about this from watching Candace, because I watch her show, and she reported on it only because Phil Lyman went on multiple news outlets and basically snitched on himself and told everybody that he provided this footage to the FBI. Again, nobody asked you to tell us that you did that. So Phil Lyman has inserted himself into the Charlie Kirk case. I also find it weird that Phil Lyman happened to be with Charlie the morning of the shooting, happened to be with Charlie just before the shooting, decides to leave Charlie's post to travel 200 plus yards away, where he claims he was in the building that Tyler Robinson was standing on top of, delivering the shot. And he heard the shot overhead. And I'm supposed to believe that Phil Lyman, government employee, just happened to be the guy who was around Charlie the morning of, right before the shooting, and it just happens to be the person who Tyler Robinson walks past his aunt's house and he catches him on camera and provides that footage to the FBI. Stop it. And why was Tyler limping in the footage to begin with? My assumption was because the man just jumped off a roof. So yeah, I'd be limping too. I'm limping right now just thinking about it. Come to find out, that's not the story as to why Tyler was limping.
We also have new video of what police are looking at right now this hour. TMZ has obtained new video of the before and after images of the suspect accused of killing Charlie Kirk. I want to show you the first video here. This is of the suspect walking to the venue in this neighborhood. Take a look. You can see the images now of that suspect. They're walking in the street. And if you can see, the person is walking with a limp there, and it is believed to be because that person has a rifle in the pants, and they are walking very difficult because of that object that is inside of the pants. Take a look here of that limp right there. And you can see there the suspect continuing to walk the street there, very close to where the venue was. And then this is after where we see now that suspect clearly running in the field. And this was all obtained there by TMZ. And of course, police are looking at that. The feds are looking at that as well. But this is the newest video that we are seeing.
So we've examined the suspect, Tyler Robinson. In my opinion, no strong evidence that he's actually the shooter. But that's okay. We've taken a look. Now we have to look at the actual shot. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know a thing about a thing about a thing about guns. Nothing. Not my thing. I've never been to the gun range. I don't really want to go to the gun range. Guns just aren't my thing. Whatever. But there's a lot of people out there that are into guns. And those people are talking real loud. Okay? Now, one of the things that I said when the incident first happened, I was under the impression that this had to be some type of professional shooter. Right? 140 yards away is what the official story is. You know, wind, elevation, all these things you have to take into effect. And with one bullet, he hits Charlie square in the neck, which to me is kind of symbolic, right? Like Charlie Kirk is known for speaking. So to shoot someone in the neck kind of resonates, which made me think, okay, this person had to be a professional, right? But a lot of gun enthusiasts were able to easily debunk that.
All right, so this gun's hot. We're gonna go live. We're gonna shoot this body armor, and then we're gonna go take a look at, see what kind of results that we get from shooting it. All right, I can see we got a dead center mass. And you guys remember that 66% silhouette down there, right? Just to kind of demonstrate whether or not that is a difficult shot. What we're gonna do is we're gonna shoot that 140 yards standing offhand. Let's see if we can do it. standing offhand, 140 yards. Folks, you guys can see right here where I actually hit that. All right, that's standing offhand, 140 yards. It's not a hard shot. Standing offhand is a hard shot, but 140 yards in the prone, not hard at all.
So I thought it was interesting that this did not have to be a professional shooter, especially when you consider that the supposed murder weapon is an ancient relic that Tyler Robinson got from his grandfather. I just thought that was crazy. But okay, it doesn't have to be a professional shooter. Fine. The problem still remains that the round that they say was used, a 30-06, which, again, you might as well just be speaking French to me because I don't understand what that means. But the round supposedly used, impossible to have been the round that was used to kill Charlie. And after you watch this video, you'll see why.
All right, what's up, everybody? So I'm out here with my buddy Brian, and we're going to do a little bit of 30-06 testing today, given the controversy going on in recent events. And as you can see, we've got our 30-06s set up here. And I wanted this video to be professional, so I brought out my buddy Brian, who's a precision rifle competition shooter, just to make sure this is all legit. Brian, what do you think the likelihood of the things we have here today stopping a 30-06 round?
Nothing on this tailgate is going to stop the 30-06 round, including the tailgate.
Okay, so let's talk about what we got today. All right, we got some fruit. We're actually going to be shooting a pumpkin that's already down there. Maybe the watermelon. This next thing, just a big fat pork shoulder blade. Fat bone through here. Twice, 2 times, 3 times as thick as my neck. Then, well, we figure we're going to test a human vertebrae. Why don't we use a cow vertebrae that we might just like fold in half if we can. If not, tape it up. Because I think cow vertebrae is a little bit stronger than human. We'll find out. Next, we figured, why don't we get real ridiculous and bring out the cow femurs. So we're going to shoot a cow femur, and then to make it even harder, we're going to slap on a huge slab of beef in front of the cow femur. And then, to top this whole test off, we have quarter inch,
3/8, and 1/2 steel plates down there.
And we're going to see if literal steel can stop 30-06 rounds. So let's get to it. Well, all right, we did the pumpkin. Next up, the sheep shoulder blade, definitely thick bone, about twice the meat mass of a human neck. Yeah, so as we can see, the sheep shoulder blade did not stop the 30-06. Basically, ripped this entire thing in half, straight through, no bullet. Now we're going to attempt these beef vertebrae, which are, if you look at these things, incredibly thick, 2-3 inches thick at some of the bigger parts. Brian was telling me that butchers can use concrete saws to saw through this, so a little bit stronger than a human neck. We're going to check that out next. So, as you can see, the cow neck vertebrae stood no chance. Ripped in half, and as you can see, even clean through, damage straight through the cardboard. Again, and you can see how thick this bone is, guys. It's almost 2-inch thick. Straight through, no problems. Cow femur. I don't know how many times stronger this cow femur is than a human neck vertebrae, but it's a lot of times. Couple. This thing is gigantic. All right, so that's what we're hitting next. Yeah, that's a little different. Okay. There you go. Literally exploded that cow femur in half, blew straight through. Cow femur, 30-06 round. Now think about a human neck. All right, guys, now we're going to test literal steel. 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch steel. Let's see what it can do. All right, so let's check out what 30-06 did to literal steel here. We have our, and thank God we got an actual competition shooter here to hit this 2-inch by 2-inch plate from 100 yards, which I probably wouldn't have been able to. Clean through 1/4-inch steel. Clean through 3/8-inch steel and 1/2-inch steel. Almost, or actually it potentially did actually blow out the side of that. So, guys, final thoughts. Literally nothing we brought out here today could stop a 30-06 round.
So, there you have it. We have Tyler Robinson, the shooter, which doesn't appear to be the shooter based on all the information that we've been given so far, and the shot, which, if the murder weapon and the bullet that they're telling us was used, impossible. Literally impossible. Okay? We would have seen something far more graphic than the already graphic nature of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Again, this is the unleavened truth, right? Like, that's our job, is to uncover truth by any means. And this is probably the biggest high-profile case since at least 9/11. And we already see the Trump administration starting to formulate policies around free speech and hate speech based on this case. So we got to be hip to some of these things, because we could be losing more and more freedoms by the minute. All right, if we let them just kind of get away with this and run away with the official story, which is ridiculous at this point. But let me know what y'all think, man. Hit me up in the comments. I want to hear y'all thoughts. We'll dive into more stuff later. Make sure y'all like and subscribe if this video brings value to you. And till next time. Psh.